Most people never realize this, but there's a moment in your financial life when everything changes. It isn't when you land a higher paying job. It isn't when you finally pay off your debt. It's when you look at your bank account and see that you've saved your first $10,000. That number isn't random. It's a turning point. $10,000 is the difference between constantly stressing over bills and finally breathing with confidence. It's not about being rich, it's about having options. And once you reach this milestone, your relationship with money, and your decisions and even your outlook on the future completely transform. When you first start saving, the process can feel painfully slow. You're cutting back on small expenses, saying no to things that your friends might be spending on investment. And sometimes it feels like all of that sacrifice isn't even moving the needle. But the moment you cross the $10,000 mark, something shifts inside of you. It's no longer just a dream or a goal written on a piece of paper. It's real investment sitting in your account, and you know it's there because of the discipline you built. That's where the psychological shift happens. Money stops feeling like something that slips through your fingers every time a bill shows up. It becomes a tool, a shield, and a source of confidence that changes how you look at your entire financial life. When you've got nothing in savings, every problem feels bigger. A car repair is a crisis, a medical bill is a disaster, and even a missed paycheck can send you spiraling. But when you've stacked up the $10,000, those same situations don't feel like the end of the world. You're calmer, more in control. Investment. And you start making decisions from a place of strength instead of panic. That shift alone changes how you interact with people, how you plan your future, and even how you see yourself. You don't carry the same level of stress in the back of your mind every day because you know you're not one emergency away from financial ruin. There's also a major identity change that happens here. Before hitting that milestone, investment, you might not even think of yourself as someone who's good with money. You might have labeled yourself as the type who just can't save or the type who will always struggle to get ahead. But crossing that line proves to you that you're capable of more than you believed. You built a system, you followed through, and you actually created results. That's powerful because now you start asking yourself bigger questions instead of, how will I make it to the end of the month? You start asking, how can I make this money grow? That shift in mindset opens up a completely new world of possibilities. Something else changes too, the way you see risk. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, you avoid opportunities because you can't afford to take a chance on anything. Even a small investment feels dangerous when you've got no cushion. But with about $10,000 saved, you suddenly have options. You can think about investing, starting a side project, or simply exploring opportunities you couldn't before. That doesn't mean you're reckless, but it means you're no longer trapped in survival mode. Investment. That psychological freedom makes you more willing to learn, experiment, and step into opportunities that might move you forward. The best part about the first to 10,000 is that it changes the way you carry yourself. You stop feeling desperate. Investment. And that confidence shows up in other areas of your life. You negotiate better because you're not afraid of losing a job offer. You take your time making financial decisions instead of rushing into bad ones. Investment. You begin to see yourself as someone who's building a future instead of just surviving in the present. That confidence becomes fuel, and it makes you hungry to keep pushing, keep saving, and keep growing beyond that milestone. It's proof that your effort matters, and it plants the belief that if you can hit 10,000, you can hit 50,000, and eventually much more. Man, that shift is where the journey truly begins. Living paycheck to paycheck. It is one of the most exhausting cycles anyone can be trapped in. You work hard all month, get your paycheck, and almost immediately the money is gone. Rent, utilities, groceries, debts, and maybe a few small expenses to treat yourself. Then you're back at zero, waiting for the next paycheck, constantly hoping nothing unexpected shows up in between. The stress is overwhelming because even the smallest financial hiccup can throw your entire life off balance. But once you've managed to save on $10,000, you no longer live with that same fear. The breathing room that comes with it changes everything about how you live, how you plan, and how you think about the future. When you don't have savings, every single decision you make has this invisible pressure attached to it. Should you buy new tires for your car? Maybe not, because that would wipe out what little money you have left. Should you go to the doctor when you feel sick? Maybe you delay it because you can't afford the bill. Should you consider switching jobs to something you'd enjoy more? That feels impossible because missing even one paycheck would crush you. But when you've built up $10,000 in savings, suddenly you can breathe. You don't have to make every choice based on fear. You're no longer reacting to money, you're proactively managing it. That's a level of control that most people don't realize they're missing until they experience it. Emergencies no longer feel like they're out to destroy you. Your car breaks down, and you know you can pay for it without pulling out a high-interest credit card. You need to replace an appliance, and you can do it without panicking. Even if you lost your job tomorrow, you'd know you could still cover your bills for a while without spiraling into debt. That peace of mind makes everyday life so much lighter. Investment. It gives you the confidence to handle challenges without constantly worrying that everything will collapse. That kind of financial cushion also changes the way you think about work. When you're broke, you feel chained to your job no matter how much you hate it because you can't risk being without income. But with savings behind you, you suddenly have the freedom to think about what's best for you, not just what's necessary to survive. You can explore new opportunities, negotiate with confidence, or even walk away from situations that don't serve you. The freedom that comes with not being desperate is one of the biggest lifestyle upgrades money can buy. Even your daily habits start to change. When you don't have savings, it feels like you're constantly putting out fires, late fees, overdraft charges, borrowing from one account to cover another. It's chaos. Investment. But when you've got a 10,000 cushion, you're no longer playing catch up. You can pay bills early, avoid unnecessary fees, and stop stressing about timing every single transaction. That sense of order spills into other parts of your life too. You sleep better, you're less anxious, and you can actually plan for things like vacations or holidays without guilt. What people don't always understand is that financial stress isn't just about money. It affects your relationships, your health, and your peace of mind. Living paycheck to paycheck keeps you in constant survival mode, which eats away at your energy and focus. But once you've broken that cycle by building a meaningful savings buffer, you give yourself permission to live differently. You can make plans without fear, think long-term without feeling foolish, and enjoy life without the constant shadow of financial anxiety. Investment. That's the kind of freedom that doesn't just change your bank account. It changes the quality of your entire life. Reaching the point where you have 10,000 saved does more than provide peace of mind. It unlocks leverage. Investment. Leverage is about turning money into opportunities that weren't available before. When you have zero savings, you're constantly on the defensive, just trying to stay afloat. But when you've got 10,000 sitting there, investment, you suddenly move from defense to offense. You're no longer forced to accept whatever terms life throws at you because you now have the power to choose, to negotiate, and to take advantage of opportunities that were previously out of reach. Think about investing with no money. The idea of investing sounds like something only other people do. But with $10 you're in the game, you can start putting money into the stock market, index funds, or even consider real estate options like house hacking or small partnerships. That doesn't mean you go all in recklessly, but it means you can finally start compounding your money in ways that actually build wealth over time. 10,000 isn't going to make you rich overnight, but it gives you the foundation to start growing money instead of watching it disappear. Another form of leverage is flexibility. If you want to move to a new city for a better job, investment, that savings gives you the ability to cover moving costs, rent deposits, or a few months of expenses while you transition. If you want to start a side hustle or a small business, that money becomes seed capital. Suddenly, investment, instead of feeling stuck in one path, you have the flexibility to try things, to make moves, and to position yourself for bigger opportunities. Without savings, even if the perfect opportunity is in front of you, you often can't act on it. With savings, you have the ability to say yes. Leverage also shows up in the way you borrow. People without savings often get trapped in high interest debt because they don't have options. They take payday loans, max out credit cards, investment, or accept bad loan terms because they're desperate. But with 10,000 in the bank, you no longer approach borrowing from weakness. You can qualify for better terms, lower interest rates, and even negotiate in situations where lenders see you as less risky. That saves you money in the long run and reinforces your ability to keep building instead of constantly digging out of a hole. There's also a psychological side to leverage. When you have money saved, you see opportunities differently. For example, a downturn in the market isn't just a scary headline anymore. It can be a chance to invest at lower prices. A temporary job loss isn't a catastrophe. It's maybe even the push you needed to explore something new. Because you have a cushion, you can take calculated risks that move your life forward. That's what leverage really is, the ability to take action from a place of strength instead of being trapped in fear. Investment, what most people don't realize is that wealth building isn't about some big lucky break. It's about putting yourself in a position where opportunities become available and then having the resources to act on them. And the first 10,000 makes that possible. It's not the amount itself that changes your life, but the leverage it gives you. You have money to invest, the ability to negotiate, the flexibility to make life choices, and the confidence to take smart risks. That leverage is what separates people who stay stuck from people who move forward. It's the turning point where money stops controlling you and you start using money to create the future you want. Saving your first 10,000 isn't just about the number in your account. It's about the person you became along the way. To reach that milestone, In investment, you had to develop habits that most people never stick with. You had to budget, cut back, say no to unnecessary spending, and stay consistent even when progress felt slow. By the time you cross the threshold, the money itself is valuable, but the real prize is the discipline and momentum you've built. That's what makes the next stages of your financial journey so much easier. You've proven to yourself that you can commit, follow through, and create results. And now you're equipped with habits that compound over time. Momentum is powerful because it changes saving from something that feels like a struggle into something that feels automatic. At the start, good investment. Putting away a few $100s might have felt painful, like you were depriving yourself, but after months of doing it, you adapt. It becomes second nature. By the time you reach $10, saving is no longer a question. It's just what you do. That momentum means you don't stop there. You keep saving, you keep looking for ways to earn more, and you keep your focus on building, not spending. The snowball effect starts working in your favor, and what once felt impossible now feels inevitable. The discipline you developed is just as important. Discipline is the reason you didn't give up when progress felt too slow. Investment. It's the reason you turned down instant gratification for long-term stability. And now that discipline extends into other areas of your life, you start thinking twice before making impulse purchases. You evaluate opportunities more carefully. Investment. You set bigger goals because you've already proven you can hit the smaller ones. That kind of discipline separates you from the majority of people who never get ahead financially because they never stick with the process long enough to see results. Another benefit of momentum is confidence. When you've saved a $10, you can look back and see the journey. You remember when you only had a few $100s and thought it would take forever, but you stayed consistent and eventually crossed the line. That gives you unshakable confidence that you can do it again and on a bigger scale. If you can save $10,000, and why not $28,000, and why not $50,000? Each milestone reinforces the belief that you're capable of more, and that belief fuels even stronger action. It's a cycle that keeps pushing you forward. This momentum also changes how you handle setbacks. Before, a financial setback might have completely discouraged you. Maybe you would have dipped into debt again or given up on saving altogether. But now, with discipline and momentum on your side, setbacks don't feel like the end of the road. You see them as temporary bumps. You know how to get back on track, and you trust yourself to rebuild if necessary. Investment. That resilience is one of the most valuable skills you gain from hitting that first 10,000. Perhaps the most overlooked part of this milestone is how it reshapes your identity. Investment. You stop seeing yourself as someone who struggles with money and start seeing yourself as someone who's building wealth. That identity shift is crucial because your actions always follow the way you see yourself. If you believe you're disciplined, consistent, and capable of saving, you'll act accordingly. And with every new dollar added to your account, that identity becomes stronger. The first $10,000 is proof that you can create change through persistence. It gives you discipline, momentum, and confidence that carry over into every financial goal you set from this point on. Investment. You're not just someone with money saved. You're someone who knows how to build, sustain, and grow. Investment. That mindset ensures the next milestones don't just happen by chance. They happen because you've created the habits and momentum that make them unavoidable.